everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you could join me for another fun-filled video. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video talking about books that I definitely will not read, or at least most likely will not read. Today's video is all about the book series that I definitely want to read. I'm at least going to give it a good shot, see what it's like, and I'm really thinking I'll like these book series. So let's get right to it. Make sure that you are staying tuned to this channel though, because I will have some great content coming up in the next few weeks. I've got another book review coming next week, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, so stay till the end. And I've got something special coming up in the near future on this channel as well. It's pretty exciting, so stay tuned till the end of the video where I will talk a little bit more about that. And now let's get right to the content for this video. The first book series that I'm very excited about reading, in fact I just started it last night, is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. The first book being the fifth season. I can never say that right. Fifth and sixth. I always get those messed up. But anyway, the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin is a book that I've had on my TBR list for a long time. And I put it on my TBR list for this year because I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to start this series this year. And I just started it last night. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little bit different for me. It starts out in a very unique second-person perspective, so I'm not giving up though. I'm enjoying it so far. Very descriptive, and I've heard a ton of good things about this series from numerous different people. There's a few negative reviews out there as well. There's bound to be with anything, but I figured I'll like it, so I'm giving it a shot, and I'll let you guys know what I think, but I'm very excited to read this and the future books in the series. Another book series that I am definitely going to read is the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. I know it's classic science fiction. Chaz, why have you not read it before? I know I'm behind on the times. I need to read it. And especially now, because having seen the trailer for the series that Apple is putting on their Apple TV Plus service, I'm pretty darned excited. So I figured I've got to at least get the first book under my belt before that series comes out. So I'll probably put that on my TBR for early next year, if I don't get to it before then. But my TBR for this year is already full. If you haven't seen my TBR video for this year, make sure and check it out. I'll leave it in the cards at the end of this video and a link in the description below. So that's just a little side note there. But yeah, I will probably get to Foundation early next year. I'm very excited to read it. Sci-fi is kind of hit or miss for me, but I've heard really good things about the Foundation saga. So that is that. The next series is also science fiction, and it's the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, which I know is a pen name for two different authors, and I forget their names. I think one is Daniel Abraham, maybe. I could be wrong, but anyway, I'm very excited to read this series. I am currently about halfway, or maybe almost all of the way through season 2. My girlfriend and I have been watching it together, and it is just an amazing series. So if the books are anything as good as the TV series that was made off of them, I'm very excited to read it. So I'll let you know more what I think maybe in a future video once I've gotten around to reading those, but of course it's going to be a while, probably not till next year at least. So I'll let you know on that. Very excited to read that series. Discworld is another one. Now, I did start Discworld probably 2, maybe even 3 years ago. And I started with the first in publishing order of the books, which is Color of Magic. And I've since seen numerous articles and videos about why you should not do that, why it's the worst place to start in the Discworld series. And I did. I just figured, okay, it's the first book, I'm going to pick it up. And I was kind of bored, to be honest with you. But I'm going to give it another shot. I'll read other books in the Discworld series that come more highly recommended as good places to start. I know it's broken up into several different arcs. Depending on where you want to start, you can start with one of the books in those arcs. So that's what I plan to do. I do like Terry Pratchett quite a bit. Good Omens was one of my favorite books that he wrote with Neil Gaiman. So I really want to give Terry Pratchett another shot with his magnum opus. So very excited to get to that one. The Chronicles of Pern by Anne McCaffrey is another one. I think the first book is The Dragon Riders of Pern. And it's classic fantasy. I've heard that it even at some points starts to bridge off into science fiction. And it's just one of those that I've never read. Everybody says you need to read McCaffrey if you like dragon riders and dragons, and you know I do, so why not? I'm definitely looking forward to reading The Dragon Riders of Pern and seeing if I like it well enough to continue it. But I definitely think I will, so yes, I'm going to be reading that one for sure. Earthsea is another one. A few videos back I talked about how I gotten the full collected edition, illustrated edition of the books of Earthsea. I did read The Wizard of Earthsea a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I never went back to the series. I'm probably going to go back and reread that one and then just read through the entire series. I definitely want to keep going in Earthsea, so that's another one on the list of series that I'm definitely going to be checking out. The Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. I've heard mixed reviews about. And I've read the premise, and it sounds interesting to me enough that I really want to give it a shot and see what it's like. And I follow V. Schwab on some of the social medias, and I really like who she is as a person. Her has a really strong character and things of that nature. So I really want to give her books a shot because I've heard really good things about them. And if I like Shades of Magic enough, I may branch off into other series of hers as well. But I feel like I should at least give it a shot. It gets a lot of hype, and the premise of the story really intrigues me. So I'm definitely going to be reading that one. And I'll let you guys know what I think as things move on with it. You'll notice with a lot of these series, I've either started them and then set them down, or they're book series that I'm planning on at least reading the first novel in to see if I like it well enough to continue. And so these are all kind of new adventures for me, or at least most of them are. So let's move on to the next book I want to talk about, which is The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I've heard numerous booktubers talk about this book series. I encountered blurbs about it several years ago. I've heard it's really good. A lot of people just rave about it like it's on their top 10 favorite book series of all time. And I've read the premise and I'm pretty interested in it. So I will definitely be getting to that one at some point in the future. The Wheel of Time series. Now, this one I have started. I started it a couple of years back. I read the first two books and then I never went back to it. I recently reread the first book in the series, and I'm planning on continuing through with it. And yes, I will be putting up a review for it here at some point in the near future. But I'm very excited to just finally continue on with the series and finish it and see what all the hype is about, because it was literally my first time reading through it when I started it way back when, and now that I'm rereading it, I feel obligated from everything I see in the fandom to complete this beast that is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. So keep me accountable in the comments. Make sure you tell me what you're going to do to me if I don't finish The Wheel of Time, because that will keep me somewhat motivated. You know, I like to stay alive. I like to not undergo various amounts of torture. It's just a good thing. So I will be completing The Wheel of Time at some point. I've got to move on to book 2 and then continue on from there. I'm very excited about it. So I promise you, I will be doing it. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am very excited to read this book. I've heard it is a fantastic novel, and I know there's sequels to it, so I'm going to be continuing the series as well. But I've heard it's a very, very good militaristic, grimdark fantasy novel, both of which I like, and set in a more oriental backdrop, which I think is really cool. There's not a lot of books out there that are like that. So this is one that I definitely hope to check out. Again, it's one I've heard so much about that is good, and I might as well give it a shot and put it out there and be reading that book series. The Green Bone Saga, starting with the first book, Jade City, is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time now, and I still haven't done it. I know, I'm crazy. I need to get on top of things. But I've just had so many other books. You know the story. No more excuses. I'm just, you know my excuses as well as I do. So I just won't bother. But it's on my TBR list. I probably won't get to it till next year, but I definitely want to read it. And I forget the author's name now, but I'll put it up on the screen if I find it. But yeah, Jade City looks like an amazing book. It's set in more of an oriental themed backdrop, just like the Poppy War series, but it's set in more of a mafia type setting from what I understand. And what's really cool is the characters in the story can perform different feats of magic by wearing jade on their body, whether it's jade necklaces or rings or whatever it might be. And I find that to be a really unique and intriguing magic system. So I'm very excited to read it and find out what all the hype is about. So stay tuned for more on the Greenbone Saga. The Craft Sequence by Max Gladstone is comprised of 6 books, and I've read the first book in the series, 3 Parts Dead is the name of it, and I really enjoyed it, and I may throw up a review for it here sometime in the future, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to get back and finish the book series. So you'll hear more from me about this in the future, but yeah, the Craft Sequence by Max Gladstone, it's hard to describe. It's just completely and uniquely different. The first book follows a wizard lawyer who is called on to help solve a crime that has been committed against a different race of beings in the particular city. As I remember it, my memory's kind of vague on it, but it's well worth reading. Such a good book. and I'm excited for the rest of the series as well. The Saga of Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson is another book series that I have been wanting to read for a long time. It starts off with the Trader Baru Cormorant, and it moves on to the Monster Baru Cormorant, and then the third book in the series was just released, I think last year, the Tyrant Baru Cormorant. I am so excited to read these books. They've been highly recommended to me by numerous different people, although I don't hear them talked about a whole lot. So I'm just not sure what to think, you know? It's one of those obscure fantasy series that sounds good, but there's just not a whole lot of information out there about it, so you just have to give it a shot and find out for yourself. But the people that I know that have read it have really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. The next series that I'm really excited about is The Band. And the first book in the series is Kings of the Wild. It's written by Nicholas Ames. And oh man, folks, I tell you what, I've heard so many good things about this. If you're into 80s hair bands, it kind of takes an 80s hair band theme, but they're not an 80s hair band anymore. They're older now, kind of like the Rolling Stones, if you will. They're older and they're getting the band back together for one last excursion to rescue somebody from the hands of the enemy. And from what I've heard about it, it's just so uniquely different and refreshing for fantasy. It's still got a lot of classic fantasy tropes and kind of a sword and sorcery vibe to it, and maybe even more of a role-playing game vibe to it, but at the same time it's refreshing and unique from what I've been told. And if I really enjoy Kings of the Wild, I'll move on to the second book, which is Bloody Rose. And the artwork alone, the covers are brilliant, just really eye-catching. The colors pop, and it just really draws you in and makes you say to yourself, oh, I want to read that book series, if for nothing else than the cover. So yeah, I'm very excited to read those, and I'll let you know what I think. The Godblind series by Anna Stevens. And I don't know if that's the name of the series, to be honest with you. I'm probably wrong. But the first book in the series is Godblind. And I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've heard really, really good things about it. And I'm looking forward to checking it out. It's another dark, grimdark series. And I'm very excited to see what it's all about. It's been hyped to me a lot. I'm in a grimdark fantasy fiction group on Facebook, and it's come highly recommended to me there. So I've got to check it out and see what it's all about. The Lays of Anuskaya by Bradley Bouillot, if that's how his name is pronounced. I may be wrong, but this is another book series that I've heard some good things about, and I've read the blurb, and the synopsis seems pretty intriguing. The first book in the series is The Winds of Kalikovo, and I really don't know a whole lot about it other than the short blurb that I've read about it. So I'm always up for reading a new book series that kind of catches my eye, and especially when it's one that's not talked about a lot. You might think, well, you know, why would you even bother with it if nobody talks about it? But you know, it's kind of like supporting the underdog. You know, when you're watching a game or you're watching a movie and you're rooting for the underdog. It's kind of like that. Not saying that this book series is an underdog by any means, but the fact that it's not talked about a whole lot makes me want to read it even more, because it gives me a unique outlook on the fantasy genre. You know, why would I just stick to only the most popular and most talked about books? So I like obscure stuff, every now and again. So I'm going to give this book series a shot, and you should too. Why not? The final series on my list today, and there's probably others I've missed, I know, but as far as I've been able to account for, this is going to be the final book series on my video today. And that is the World Breaker Saga by Cameron Hurley. The first book is The Mirror Empire, and from what little I know about it, there are two empires, kind of alternate universes, if you will, where people in one universe have an equal and opposite doppelganger on the other side, in the other alternate universe, and at some point those worlds begin to collide, and the doppelgangers start interacting with their partner in the other universe. And I don't know a whole lot about it other than that, but I've heard really, really good things about it. It's another one of those more obscure series. It's not talked about a whole lot, but what I have heard has been really good. So I'm looking forward to checking it out and seeing what it's all about. It's been on my TBR for a long time, and what I've heard about it that I really like is that it really thinks outside the box when it comes to fantasy, and when it comes to creating cultures and to creating worlds. It thinks really, really strongly outside the box. And I like that when an author does that and really tries to craft something completely unique. Because the nice thing about fantasy is the only limits are your imagination. There's nothing that you technically can't do in fantasy. You can do anything, so why not do anything? And so I like books that break the mold. And from what I've heard, this book series seems to do it well. So that is the end of my list of book series that I am very excited to read. And let me know what you think in the comments. Are any of these some books that you have read, and what did you think of them? Give me a little review in the comments. I'd love to know more about your thoughts on them. Have you heard of them but you just haven't desired to pick them up for whatever reason? Let me know that too. And if it's on your TBR as well, but it's been kind of on the back burner and now you want to move it up a little bit too, great, let me know about it, and let me know if you've enjoyed this video and gotten an idea for some new book series to try. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you did get value from this video, please slap a like on it. You know, do all this stuff right here on the side as my fingers are conjuring it up. Make sure that you do those things to support my channel. And now, as I promised, I'm going to give you a little glimpse into what's to come in my next few videos. I will be doing a review for The Hero of Ages next week. That is the final book in Mistborn Era 1. And I really had a blast reading this series, and I finally finished it just the other night, and I'm excited to do a review for you. And I will also be joining Geek on My Sleeve. Again, if you didn't see my video I did with them for Mistborn Book 2, I'll be joining them for another Geek Out on Mistborn Book 3. So stay tuned for that as well. That won't be on my channel, that'll be on their channel, and I'll leave the link to them down below. And in the very near future, the beginning of August specifically, I will be celebrating my 1-year BookTube anniversary. That's right, you heard it. I have been on YouTube for 1 year almost. And I'm very excited to celebrate that. And I'm thinking and cogitating, I'm ruminating on things that I might do for my celebratory video. I'm not going to bake a cake, I don't think. I could. That would be kind of a cool celebration. And I could sit here and eat cake with you guys while we just talk books and Q&As and things like that. But I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do. I'll talk about that at the end of some of my other videos in the coming weeks. But make sure that you are staying tuned to my channel. If you're watching this video and you are not subscribed to my channel, why not? I would love to celebrate my BookTube anniversary by reaching 100 subscribers or more on my channel. That would be really cool. And if you're a regular watcher of my videos, why not subscribe? Make it happen. So yes, join me. I may bake a cake. I may just go for it and do it and sit here and we can munch cake together and watch all the crumbles fall on the floor. I'll have to vacuum afterward. Who knows? Be surprised. Check back and join me for my 1-year anniversary on YouTube. And with that being said, I think I've talked about everything. Make sure that you're reading more books, folks. I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.